The sequels of many popular games usually fail to impress because they just take what happened in the first game and repeat it ad nauseum. But Gears of War 2 doesn't follow this, with new enemies, new weapons, and great level variety to keep you entertained throughout the game, and a greatly enhanced multiplayer experience, including the new game, the Horde. Gears still has its excellent cover system that most games are copying now. It's easy to slide back and forth as you move closer to the enemy and hack them up with the chainsaw bayonet. Can't beat that. You can still take cover and lob grenades to enemies that are trying to cower in fear behind you. And now you can pick up enemies and use them as meat shields and run up to other enemies out in the open, but you have cover still, and you're using your pistol to take out enemies. If you happen to be downed, this time you don't die immediately and go back to a checkpoint. You can go back to your allies and they'll help revive you. There's still sniping levels, which help break up the action of just the constant run and gun with machine guns. The flamethrower also provides a new weapon that you can spray enemies down with the flames and take care of large hordes of units. You can also, if you reload it properly and quickly, you can extend its range to make it more effective. And some weapons are so large that you can't carry them, or they slow down your movement ability. But the mortar here can even take down this big fella, so it's well worth lugging it around. Some new enemies, including the tickers. Basically living landmines that you have to shoot. It's pretty hard to see here in the dark. And a lot of more mounted enemies and larger enemies that keep the action at a breakneck speed. Here you have to kill the guy on top of his mount, and then the reavers, which are much larger and have tentacles. But amazingly, grenades can take out almost anything. Big explosions, big enemies. It's just constant fun.
Control, you have any info on this thing? Looks like
They also use the cover system and expanded it a lot. For instance, this living creature here can't be hurt by guns, but if you lure it with fruit, it can act as mobile cover and help you inch closer to your enemies. Some of the levels are on-rail shooters. Here I'm manning a gun on a big machine, vehicle, and killing some reavers. And later, on top of the same vehicle, killing this big fella. Just killing huge things on top of huge vehicles breaks up the action between just taking cover with smaller squadrons of enemies. And even the environment acts as your enemy sometimes to keep the level variety always fun. You're avoiding these moving pillars, which happen to be teeth. And later on, avoiding spewing acid, shooting it, and moving along the environment, rather than just killing constant hordes of locusts, breaking up the action to keep it interesting. And there's just a security system sometimes that you have to avoid the security cameras, and then leap over the cover and turn off the switch so your allies can follow along with you through the level. Just a great level of variety. Keeps it constantly fun. And here's some levels you can actually man some vehicles, this basically roving tank, and gun down some enemies on foot. Constantly changing the perspective, keeping it fun, new weapons, new enemies. It's just, you never have the same thing over and over again, not much repetition. The Horde game is a great new addition. It allows up to 5 players to co-op to beat 50 successfully more difficult waves of enemies, to earn points for your kills, and bragging rights for getting through it all. Gears of War 2 is an excellent example of how to make a sequel. Most games just take what the first game did and constantly repeat it ad nauseum to bore us, but Gears of War 2 doesn't do that. It's great level variety, multiplayer features, including the Horde, enemies, and weapons keep it fun throughout the entire adventure.